one of the first things that is so important in developing your personal power is your voice. You need to have a voice. Your voice was stifled. And what I mean by a voice is you need to be able to tell your story. You need to be able to say what you think. You need to be able to have an opinion and be okay with it and not worry if anybody else is okay with it. You need to be able to be who you are, and your voice is where it begins. And so one of the first ways I learned to have my voice is when I started on my healing journey. I emailed a couple people that I was close to. I opened up a private blog that only those that I would invite into could come into. And I emailed, I think, 5 people and told them I was going to start on this journey and asked them, these were people I really had a lot of confidence and trust in, and asked them if they would be willing to read my emails and, you know, maybe just be there for me, just so I felt like somebody was listening as I wrote. I felt like I couldn't just be in this alone. When it was all said and done, I had 3 to begin with. 1 dropped off within a month. And then I had 2 people very close that stuck very close to me for the first 3 or 4 years I was doing this. And that was just such a blessing. And then I, you know, of course, a few months into my healing journey, I got a really good therapist too. I found a really good therapist. And so I had a voice, and I would, daily, I would get on my blog and I would talk about what was coming up, what I was feeling. I would talk about dreams I was having. I might tell memory. I might write something I learned that I read out of a book, just whatever. I might write a poem. However my voice wanted to express itself, I expressed it. And both these people were very wise in working with me, and I've really, really come to appreciate them for that. And because when you're trying to help somebody, it's so important that you validate their feelings and that you don't try to fix them, or that you stay calm. You don't become, oh my word, that is so, you know, and just freak out about something they're telling you. I mean, you can, it is important to show that is upsetting to you, because they need to know. That helps validate their feelings, that it was upsetting, that it wasn't right. And sometimes to hear, you know, that was so wrong of that person to do that, and I'm so sorry that happened to you. But sometimes they didn't say anything. Many times they didn't say anything, and it was still helpful to know that they were there. And so that's one way you could do it. Maybe just a therapist, maybe a good friend, anybody that you can trust, really trust. Because you're going to have a difficult time opening up your voice. When I first started, the first few blogs I did, probably at least a year, I would sneak out like a little mouse, you know. I'd write something, maybe I'd write a memory, and then I felt like I was just running back into hiding and covering myself up and just waiting for, you know, the bomb to go off, you know, because that's how you're bringing up that little child in you. And that's how I felt. I wasn't allowed to be. I wasn't allowed to talk or to speak. I couldn't tell when I was a child. It was dangerous. And so when you start telling and talking about it, those feelings come back on you, and they are strong. But as you see that ones that you've chosen are strong for you, you become more brave, and your voice becomes more powerful, and you become more powerful consequently. Another way you can work on getting your personal power back is what I call is journaling, for one thing. If you don't want to do the computer, you can journal. But I call it, another way is a joy box. I got a box. As a matter of fact, I pulled it out here. Here's one of my journals. I journal. I'm a writer by nature, so some of you aren't, and that's okay. Just, you know, whatever works for you is the main thing for you to be able to get your voice back. Maybe you want to record it. And this is my joy box. I don't use this as much as I did in the beginning, but, you know, I would, things that just made me happy. A note that somebody would send me, a magazine article, a beautiful picture, that encouraged me, anything that made me feel happy when I looked at it, that just made peace and happiness just surround me. I would put that in here, and I would come back if I was feeling just really bummed out, and, you know, I couldn't quite figure out why. Sometimes just getting the joy box out would help. Another thing that the joy box does in helping you with your personal power is it helps you start to develop a sense of who you are, what you like and what you don't like. Pinterest. it's been very, very good for me. I have like over 12,000 pins on my Pinterest, and that is because I didn't know who I was and what I liked and didn't like. I never really developed that, and so when I discovered Pinterest, it was just so exciting to be able to just make boards and create boards and then just really think, oh, I really like this, and put it on a different board. And I opened one board in particular that I kept as a closed board, private, that nobody else could see it, and I titled it Healing. And in here I put sayings that I would find, encouragement that I would find, that were so personal. I just didn't want the general public to even know that I needed that at that time. So you have to have a sense of safety when you do this too. And as you get that sense of safety, you will branch out and you will open up more to more people in time. But in the beginning, when you first start using your voice, you have to keep that sense of safety about you. And so you want to choose people carefully. I know some people have expressed you were really, lucky or blessed to have people that would listen to you. It's hard to find that nowadays, and that's true. God does listen to you. And that was really hard for me in the beginning because I was involved with a church at the time that is a fire and brimstone, judgment, preaching church. And for me, it just began to, for a while that worked, and I did well in it, is with a sense of family, but it was very controlling and of your life, and for me it started to be too much resemblance to what I was brought up in. Even though they may not have been abusive in the sense that my parents were abusive, they had the same foundation, which really ultimately is fear, fear and control. And, as long as you stay in and do what we want you to do, it's okay, you'll be okay. I didn't even have that much at home because my dad, whether you were good or not good, was still going to abuse me. But it wasn't that way within church. But however, church was very controlling, and I couldn't continue to grow in my healing and stay there. And so I ended up having to leave. Again, safety is really, really important. It's important in who you trust, who you put your trust in. You don't want to put your trust in just anybody and then have them hurt you, or it's going to make you hide more, and it's going to make you less voiceless. And your power you're going to get smaller. And what you're trying to do is get bigger. You're trying to make your space bigger. You're trying to fill your space more. God gave you space in this world. He meant for you to be here. You have space. You have a place. And you want to fill that. And you want to blossom into that. When you're around people and things that diminish that, then you get smaller, you feel smaller, and you hide and you get voiceless, and your power begins to diminish. One of the ways you can recognize whether or not a situation or people are infringing upon your personal power, which once you're healed, that infringement won't be a threat anymore because you'll have that power regardless of what others do and say. But when you first start out, you have to have protection from a lot of this until you heal. Just like that leg, it has to be in a cast for a while. You can't just go out and start jogging. It has to be protected for a while. And it's the same thing when you first start out with healing. And so one of the ways to recognize if somebody's taken away your personal power is you have to stop and think, how do I feel when I'm around this person? Do I feel small? Do I feel like everything I say, I go home and I think, oh, should I said that? Should I said this? Do I feel like I'm younger than them, littler than them, inferior to them? When you have those feelings around a certain person, you should do your best to limit your time with them, because you do not want to allow yourself to feel small in any way if you can avoid it. There may be situations, maybe a boss or something, you can't just quit your job right now. Maybe you can start looking for another job, though, if you have a boss that's like that. But there may be situations in which you have to deal with it to some extent. I would suggest coming home and really journaling about it. Maybe that'll bring up some things and help you to understand some things about yourself, and it may start healing and making you feel more stronger when you're around them. start thinking about boundaries you could put in place that they are overstepping. This journey that you are embarking on is just beautiful, because you as a human have so much potential. You are such a marvelous, beautiful creation of God, and God is just so in love with you, and He just wants to see you blossom, and everything that has happened in your life can work for good when you allow it to heal. And so I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, you can comment below. Please give it a thumbs up if you got any benefit, and like this video. I appreciate you stopping by. I will talk to you later.